My name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and you're listening to Guitarist Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.guitarist.com. Today we're interviewing two of the members of the band WildStarr, and we're speaking with guitarist David K. Starr. And who's your partner you're with? London Starr, is that the name?
London Wilde.
London Wilde. Okay. Well, it's a pleasure to meet be talking to you guys both for the first time. Now, a lot of people know Dave from the band Vicious Rumors. So, talk a little bit about how this project WildStarr got together.
Well, excuse me. Let's see. Well, London and I have been married. We've known each other for 30 years.
Wow.
Married for
15.
Almost. No, it'll be 16 next month. Yeah, 16 years on December 1st.
Wow.
And the first time we actually worked together was when David Chastain hired me to play bass on Chastain In and Outrage album that came out in 2004.
Oh, wow.
And we recorded bass tracks. London engineered the bass tracks for me, and we recorded them in our home studio. That was around 2002, something like that. So that was the first time we worked together. We started tossing around song ideas then. I made a slight detour to Vicious Rumors to do the Warball CD and recorded that. They came out in 2006, but I just really wasn't thrilled with the way things were going on, and it was just around that was around the time that I'd gotten clean and sober, and I really started talking to London about just basically making our own music and creating our own legacy.
Dave had a backlog of tunes he had written, and he was showing me, and they were just rhythm guitar mostly, and I said, hey, these are really good. We started talking about, maybe just doing a band together, and he talked about getting a singer, and I don't think he realized that I sang.
Wow.
And I said, well, how about if I sing? And he said, okay.
Now let me ask you, London, had you always been a singer before, done stuff, yourself, or did you kind of discover you could sing when you guys worked together on the Chastain album?
No, I was singing for a long time. In the 80s, I auditioned for a lot of bands, and I was in a few bands, but I never lasted long because I have a really big voice that sounds kind of masculine, but I'm not a man. So
yeah.
Back in those days, everybody's self-image was, that they wanted to put forward as a band was, they really wanted a male-fronted band. So I ran into that problem so often that I ended up getting more into the recording side, studio vocals for other bands, supporting other bands, doing songwriting for other bands. And, I just kind of got in that niche, and I didn't ever think that I would be in a band. I mean, I just figured, well, I'll just go in this other direction. So when Dave said he was going to look for a singer, I thought, well, hey, I can sing.
Wow. And did you guys ever have any concerns about working together, being that, you're a married couple? Do you ever think, it might ruin the relationship, or was that ever a concern?
No. Well, no, it's actually more bonding, I think.
That's great. I love that.
More of something that you have in common.
There have been, just like any band I've ever been in, there's been arguments and disagreements. I think the key is when you're married, you just got to make sure you don't let things in the studio spill over to the studio is here in our home, so we got to make sure we try to leave. We argue about that we leave it in the studio and that it doesn't go elsewhere in the house.
Yeah.
But like London was starting to say, I think it actually makes it more important. It's funny. We first started doing this. We pretty much hid married.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We didn't talk about it at all. But as time goes by, and now we've got our third album under our belt, we realize that it's actually an asset and kind of a unique situation. So that there's, it's I don't know what other husband-wife team there are in the field of heavy metal.
Well,
there's somebody out there.
Well, the only one that comes to mind, and I wouldn't really call it metal, would be Richie Blackmore and his wife Candace in Blackmore's Night, but that's not really metal. But
or Pat Benatar and Neil Giraldo. But yeah, for what the kind of stuff we're doing, it's basically I don't know anybody else. So it helps make us a little more unique. I think it makes the stuff a little more interesting and personal.
Wow. And now, London, you mentioned prior to WildStarr that you had written music for other people. So, what's it like from going to writing songs, where you're writing for other people, and you're now kind of writing for your own voice, if you know what I mean? You kind of because that's got to be
so much better because it's easier to sing something you wrote for yourself because you can write for your particular voice. Writing for somebody else's voice is not as rewarding. And for me, and also getting someone else's songs to sing isn't very fun because, I have a big range and a lot of times, in the past, someone will say, okay, well, here's the song, and it's, it's like 3 notes, and you're just like, okay, this isn't very fun for me. I like to go all over the place, so it's great. What can I say?
Yeah,
I love it.
Because I'd imagine, like you said, when you're writing for other people, it's more of like a job, and it's not something where you're like, I'm really digging this. Okay, well, I got a job to do, so I'll just do whatever they hired me to do. But it's got to be a great feeling to kind of have more control over, the music that you're doing. And then, Dave, I know, like we said, you were previously in Vicious Rumors. Now, in a band like that, it's not just kind of your vision, if you know what I mean. So having this band's got to be a great vehicle to kind of finally be able to have that freedom to just go in there and kind of write whatever type of music you do.
VR was a great band. We had 5 really great players and some really great songwriting, a phenomenal singer. So we had a good run.
Oh, no doubt, yeah, definitely.
We didn't get where we should have, but hey, we made 5 or 6 great albums, and people are still listening to them to this day. But yeah, it was. It's a little. It's definitely a different situation here. The way London will probably back me up on this, but to me, this is kind of like a solo. A lot of times, sometimes people will ask me, like, "Do you want to do a solo album?" And I say, this is a solo album for London and I, because London basically does whatever she wants to do, and I basically do whatever I want to do, and I play all the guitars and bass on the album, so we both have the ultimate freedom and creativity, and we don't have somebody else telling us that's not good enough, or
exactly.
You need to do this, you need to do that, or change this around. We basically just go in there and we have this. What's the word? Symbiotic relationship. Where
for whatever reason, it is a pure coincidence. It has nothing to do with Dave and I knowing each other for a long time. But our musical language is the same. We understand each other's musical language. Like when he's writing a song, I know, and he's laying it out, I know exactly what he's thinking.
Wow.
And I don't know why that is. Maybe it's we just like the same bands growing up. I'm not sure what it is, but
and I would imagine knowing each other for 30 years, you kind of you've been around each other long enough that you kind of know what the other one is thinking. I would imagine.
Yeah, and it's funny because when we started this thing out, when we started this WildStarr out, I didn't really know what we were doing. I didn't know how this was going to turn out, but. And I remember I'd hand London a piece of music, and I'd say, well, I came up with a rough diagram outline for this song. Probably in the back of my mind, I was saying, like, wow, I wonder what the hell she's going to come up with for this. Whether or not I'm going to like it. But now, after we've 3 albums, it's more like, just work your magic. I trust you. I know whatever you're going to come up with is going to knock my socks off. And it's just gotten better over three records.
You know, well, I got to tell you guys. I
think with the first album, Arrival, we kind of hit it out of the park. But it's just only gotten better since then. And I think we've improved as songwriters and musicians, however you want to say it. I think that's the goal of everybody. You don't want to just tread water. We've gotten better.
I mean, the best compliment I can give you guys is I can honestly tell you that until your publicist sent me the press release about the band, I'd never heard of you guys before. Now, I haven't had a chance to hear the whole entire album yet, but I know you guys dropped the album December 8th, and what I've heard so far, I got to tell you, when you hear a band for the first time, often people like to say, oh, they sound like this band or that band. The best thing I can tell people is you guys really got a fresh, original sound. You're not reinventing the wheel necessarily, but you don't really sound like other bands out there. You do have your own original sound. And I think anybody hearing the band for the first time, that's what they're going to love about this.
Well, I'm really glad you said that, because that's what I hear when I hear. I mean, it's so many times reviewers say, "Oh, we're straight out of the '80s," and I don't know how they're hearing that, because our influencers definitely were playing that genre, but it's new. It's new music being written in that genre, so that's how I hear it. But, I'm really glad to hear that's how it hit you.
Also, I think another thing that works in our favor is that so many bands today that have female singers in the metal genre kind of jumped on this Nightwish bandwagon, and they really there's just a lot of bands that are in that kind of niche genre of doing the Tarja kind of thing, and we don't have anything to do with that at all. We are in the same category as Classic, Priest, Dio, Queens Rock, Sabotage, maybe a couple of even VR. I mean, a lot of the VR fans say that we sometimes remind them of Classic VR. So we're definitely not in that female-fronted bandwagon kind of thing that I think. And maybe I shouldn't say bandwagon, because it sounds like a lot of I'm making it sound like I'm degrading these bands. I'm not. I'm just saying that when I hear somebody says, "I got to check these out," the first thing I think of is I go, "This is another band that's influenced by Nightwish."
Yeah. I mean, I think one of my all-time favorite female bands right now has got to be like the Butcher Babies. I mean, they got really something, different going on. And but like I said, I've never heard of you guys before. And the best compliment I can give you right now is tell you the fact that I had no idea that you had 2 other previous albums. And after hearing the few songs I've heard, I'm like, you know what? I want to go check out those previous 2 albums, see, and then kind of check out what the progression is, of the band. But you guys definitely got your own sound going, and I was kind of curious. You touched upon this already, Dave, but when you put this WildStarr project together with London, did you intentionally tell yourself, okay, I don't want this to sound exactly like Vicious Rumors, Part 2. I want this to be totally a separate thing.
Well, I think that's a very good question. When I look back on the stuff that I did with VR, I'm really proud of it.
Oh, definitely.
And we made a lot of great music. And when I started this thing with London, I thought to myself, well, since I'm actually shifting over to guitar from bass, well, I'm actually still playing bass, but I play all the guitars and bass on our albums. I think a lot of people thought, man, what the hell is he thinking? It's probably going to suck.
No.
Because he's not a guitar player, and his background is in bass, and there's no way it's going to be as good as the stuff that he did with VR. Well, I think when you come from a background like that, that, what I wanted to do was I wanted to at least be as good as what we did in all those great years in VR.
Oh, yeah.
And I personally, I think the stuff that we're doing is actually, I think, as good or better. I think in a lot of ways it's better. And that might sound arrogant on my part, but I've heard from so many VR fans who say, my God, this is better than anything that VR has done since VR lost Karl Mark and myself.
Yeah.
And I hear that from the VR fans, hey, I agree with them. I wanted to do something really profound and not just be, playing 3-chord rock, banging it out.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do, something really sophisticated with London, and I think that's what we've done. And I think it's a step forward for me, and I think, well, for both of us. And I think we've definitely created our own little sound, and our own world. And I think I've taken all the things that I learned in the past and talented people that I worked with, and I just, instead of being intimidated by it, I just used it to my advantage.
Yeah, and I'm not even like comparing the two bands because they're two different animals. But I think you definitely accomplished that as far as kind of with the WildStarr project. This is kind of what you're doing now, and you're kind of bringing all your influences into. I mean, I guess the point I was trying to make is, you could have formed a band where you said, okay, we're gonna just kind of take off from what we were doing with Vicious Rumors and kind of continue that. But if you had done that, people would say, oh, he's just trying to be a clone of what he did prior. And I think it's great that you can play the records you did, the Vicious Rumors as well as the WildStarr records. Anybody that's a David K. Starr fan and say, you know what, this is all the stuff this guy has done, and it's instead of trying to just be a clone of what he was the band he was previously in, he's this is what he's doing today, and it's just as great as what he did before.
Well, another interesting thing is that so many people, I'm 56 now,
yeah,
and at this a long time, and a lot of people who are my age or are kind of living off, who have had some degree of success, or sort of living off past glories,
yeah,
where the best things they did were 20, 30 years in the past.
Yeah.
I've made some great music in the past, but the best music I'm making in my career is the music that I'm doing with London now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel, well, first of all, I'm going to say it no matter what anybody else says, because I believe it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I hear people reviewing the albums and fans saying the same thing. So we've obviously,
struck a nerve
in this between the two of us, and it just works. And I'm really proud of London and myself over what we've accomplished now for 3 albums.
Well, now let me ask you, Dave. You mentioned when you guys first put WildStarr together that a lot of the songs, like on the debut album, were songs that you had laying around that you had written. On the last 2 releases, I was curious, has London gotten more involved with the songwriting?
Well, we've always had the songwriting. It's been the same for us since the beginning. Dave writes the music on guitar, and he does a rough. We do a rough recording of his idea. Then I take the idea and do the melody and lyrics on it, and we give a copy to the drummer, and he works on drums. I work on vocals, and then we come together and record the tracks for real. So. That's the way we've worked since the very beginning, and that hasn't changed.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's great.
I think probably 99% of what we've recorded on the 3 albums has basically come at the time when we were writing for each record. There were a few little ideas here and there that I had left over, maybe a great riff didn't go anywhere with VR or something, but very few things were left over from past musical endeavors. Just like I said, 99% of the stuff that we've done is stuff that we've done together, that we've written together for WildStarr. And
the great thing about that, I would imagine, like the few old ideas that you maybe had left over from Vicious Rumors ended up sounding nothing like they would have if you recorded that with Vicious Rumors, because obviously collaborating with London's a totally different thing, and that's got to be a great thing. But you kind of you had these ideas, laying around, and you really made something new out of them. That's got to be a great feeling.
Well, I'm not knocking anything. I'm not knocking the band process when you have 5 guys or 5 people.
Oh, no.
Whatever. But I do remember, going back to VR where it's like when somebody would present an idea, by the time it got to the record, everybody put their 2 cents worth in, and it may have deviated a little bit from the way it originally started, which can be good or bad, but basically, when London and I write something, we don't have to look over our shoulder or wonder what somebody just, it's funny, I was just talking to somebody else in an interview we did, was just like, we tried, when we first started this out, it wasn't initially going to be just London and I with Josh doing drums. We were actually going to have a regular band. We were going to have 5 people. And we got so tired of dealing with BS from people trying to change our vision and trying to put in their 2 cents worth. And London and I basically knew what we wanted to do. We basically wanted people who were going to be supportive of us, and we just couldn't find the right people. So we finally said, you know what? Screw this. Let's just do it all ourselves. And I think we made the right decision.
I think so. And let me go on record saying that that I am a Vicious Rumors fan, and so I'm not knocking anything the band has done. I just say my point is, what I'm trying to make here is that I imagine like it's a totally different thing recording with guys in Vicious Rumors, because when you're part of a band like that, it's not just your concept. You got 4 or 5 other guys that you're working with, and whereas a project like this, it is, like you said, it's kind of a solo project, so you don't need to get it. You can just go in there and make all the decisions. You decide, okay, these are the tracks to be on the album. It's more of your project, if you know what I mean, more of your view. So it's not knocking anything you've done with Vicious Rumors, because I think, like you said, I think Vicious Rumors has been a great band, and very unfortunately, like so many other bands before, you guys made a little bit of a dent there. People know the name, but you didn't really break out in a huge way. But the thing is, the name Vicious Rumors, when they hear that, that's part of your legacy, Dave. So that's where people know you from. So by no way is that anything to be ashamed of, because I think Vicious Rumors, they put out some great music.
No, like I said, it's like my past is
part of who you are.
It works to our advantage too, because when we started this thing out, nobody
knew who you were.
Knew who we were.
Nobody would have listened to us and taken us seriously if it wasn't for his history.
So it was actually it worked to our advantage, because I had done all those great albums with VR, and so it was a good way to get the foot in the door. And then people would say, so it wasn't like a cold call, I mean, people see my emails and it said WildStarr, former
Vicious Rumors
original bass player Dave Starr, now whatever, I can't remember how I phrased it. It's people to take notice, because I don't have any platinum records or gold records from VR, but we sold a lot of records, and
the name does mean something. You'd be surprised, what it means.
It did help out, in the beginning, especially in the beginning, because it got people to take notice. I mean, not that the music we were making couldn't stand up on its own, because it could, but it's just like anybody else, like Ace Frehley, for better or for worse. He came from Kiss. So it's like, that's not something to be ashamed of. The guy had a great career with Kiss, and when he puts out a solo album,
that's half the people. That's half the people buying the albums. Yeah, exactly. And
so the past with VR, and to a smaller extent, Chastain, helped us out, because it helped open some doors for us, and then we let the music do the talking. Which obviously 3 records now it has.
And that's got to be a great feeling too, that people not only know you now from Vicious Rumors, but they do know you from the WildStarr project. You got, like you said, you got 3 albums under your belt. So when people start talking about the name, David K. Starr, they're like, oh, the guy from Vicious Rumors. Oh, he's also got this great band, WildStarr. You should check out. And like you said, WildStarr is totally a separate entity from Vicious Rumors, and that's got to be a great thing where as great as that Vicious Rumors tag is to have it, people are knowing you from this new project as well, because that says something about your fact that you still got you still got some talent there. You still have ability to write great songs. Now you mentioned that you play both bass and guitar. I guess you're mostly known for being a bass player. So talk a little bit about the decision, like to do the guitar. Start playing guitar as well. I mean, would you consider yourself as good of a guitar player as you are a bass player? Or?
That's a good question. I'm probably a better guitar player than I am a bass player. I wouldn't have said that when we,
started
10 or 15 years. I didn't really start seriously playing guitar until 2005. I got clean and sober in 2005, and that's when I really got serious about making the transition to guitar and working with London and really being serious about this. But I had to get myself free of the alcohol and some other issues that I had.
Wow, so that's great that you can overcome all that. Yeah.
Yeah, I got really good, really fast. By the time we recorded the Arrival CD, I'd only been playing guitar seriously 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
So I got a really late start in life at age, 45?
Wow.
That was, I found 56, do the math, whatever.
Yeah. And now...
But the thing is now that, is that when I play guitar in WildStarr, and since I play 2 guitar parts in each song and the bass, I don't feel like a bass player, a traditional bass player, going like, oh man, I got to throw in licks here and there because, I got to get my 2 cents worth in where, however much I can get these guys to put up with my over riffing. And now I just play the songs.
Play 4 of a song.
I don't have an ego as a bass player or an ego as a guitar player. I literally just play whatever is right for the song, whether that's more or whether that's less. It doesn't matter since I'm doing all that stuff myself anyway. It doesn't matter. I think I've probably gotten better, much better on the guitar. I'm still a good bass player.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. Now,
I think in WildStarr, because the stuff is so orchestrated, I've probably come down a notch on the bass, and I'm probably playing less intense bass playing than I did in VR, just because I've got all this harmony guitar stuff going on, and London's amazing vocals and melody line and stuff, so that there's space for everything, and I don't need to overplay or underplay on any of the instruments.
Wow, and I was curious, like when during the Vicious Rumor days, as a bass player, did you ever feel that you had to compete with the guitar players? Talk a little bit about that.
Well, the main problem I had with my role in the band is I had a hard time getting my songs in.
Oh, okay.
I co-wrote 6 or 7 songs primarily on the first 2 albums, and then from there on it kind of became this Carl Albert, Jeff Thorpe, Mark McGee, kind of like Tipton, Downing, Halford kind of trio. Then I kind of became the outsider, and I had a hard time getting my input in, but I don't have that problem anymore.
No, definitely not. And now, when you decided to start playing the guitar, I was kind of curious, like, because I have no idea, because I'm not a musician or anything. I'm just kind of a music lover, if you know what I mean. But is there a lot more to it than going from like basically playing a 4-string guitar to 6-string guitar? Is it more than just the number of strings you're playing?
Yeah, it's a complete different voicing and the way that you have to. You don't really. I guess I have written songs on the bass, but the guitar is a song. It's like the piano. It's a songwriting instrument.
Yeah.
To me, but bass player, unless you're Billy Sheehan or one of these Stu Ham guys, it's more of I think a support instrument like the drums. Laying the foundation for what the vocals and the guitars are going to do. So you do have to. I think it's all kind of related because it's all music. It's all the same notes.
Yeah.
You only have notes to work with, but it's how the notes are played, the tonality, the range, and you have to think of things differently.
Yeah, okay.
And
makes sense. Yeah.
And then I while I'm writing music on the guitar now, I'll think like, okay, well, what's a good solid, bass thing going to be? And then I have to consider, well, what's London going to be doing on the vocals? So I have to make sure there's room for everything. You just to me the most important thing has always been the song. The song is the most important thing, which is another reason why I think London and I kind of feel like we're doing mutual solo albums, is because we put the songwriting first, and I don't have to say, well, gee, I want 8 bars of guitar solo here in this song because I just want to show off. I don't give a damn about that kind of stuff. I just want what's best for the band and what's best for the song.
That's great, because I think any band that or any kind of music that's going to be successful, it all starts and finishes with the songwriting. I mean, if you got people who can write decent songs, and like you said, where you're playing specifically for the song and not just for your ego and to show off, I think those are the best bands. And that's why, like I said, when I listen to some of your songs, you guys really have a sound that is all your own. It really does kind of stand out to me. And I think that's what people that are hearing this for the first time are going to want to really check out what we've done before and really kind of dig about the band, because you guys don't sound like everybody else out there.
I'll tell you my opinion, then London can give can what I say. I think songwriting in heavy metal is kind of a lost art form.
Yeah.
I think there's technically a lot of really good players in heavy metal, but I don't really. There's a lot of great songwriters. There's too much emphasis, I think, that gets put on technical ability.
Yeah.
I kind of get people who say, "Oh, you gotta check out this band, check out this band." You go, "Oh, you gotta hear what these guys." And a lot of times, I just cringe. I go, "My God, there's good players, but whatever happened to writing a decent song?"
Yeah.
Well, I think the melodic forms of metal that harkens back to the traditional early days of metal is kind of a lost art. I mean, there's not a lot of bands playing in that genre anymore. We're always going back to our old songs, the old favorites. But I mean, as time goes on, it's just more and more lost art and more focused on maybe rhythmic focuses and technical soloing and finesse. But I mean, I think I just think the genre we're playing is a dying breed, and it used to be people were dissing us for playing that kind of music, and I think it's been long enough that people are starting to appreciate that someone's keeping it alive.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And the thing, I mean, when I think of great songwriting, 2 guys come to mind right away. I mean, there's a lot of great songwriters, but just to give you an example, like Pete Townsend from The Who, Nicky Sixx from Motley Crue. Now, Pete Townsend, he's not even the lead singer of a band. Most people think, the singer writes everything, but most people, if you look at the songwriting credits on all the great Who records, Pete Townsend wrote all the hit songs. Nicky Sixx in Motley Crue, he wrote most of the songs. He was a principal songwriter. And the interesting thing about Nicky is, like what he's doing with 6 a.m. now, it sounds nothing like what he did with Motley Crue. He writes for the songs. He writes for the people that he's working with, and I think that's really a gift of a very talented songwriter.
Yeah, it's actually harder to write a good song than it is to be proficient at an instrument. It's a lot harder.
Yeah. And
I don't know what I honestly don't know what the magic elements are that make someone a good songwriter. I don't know. I just know it doesn't come along every day, and I'm just, I feel really grateful that we're able to do that, because it's really rewarding to be able to say, hey, I just wrote a good song.
Yeah, and especially if you own the rights to your own music. I mean, let's be honest. Kind of like what you were saying earlier, Dave, like in Vicious Rumors, that you said part of the problem was they weren't wanting to record a lot of my songs. And let's be honest, that's where the money is to be made. And, that's why like a guy like Pete Townsend or Nicky Sixx, that's why they're able to retire and live comfortably, because if those guys never stepped up on a stage again, they would be set for the rest of their life. Like, because I mean, how many Who songs do you hear on, a TV commercial or in the, in a movie on the radio every day?
Yeah,
You know,
they've always said that in the music industry that's who gets the money is the person who writes the songs, gets the songwriting credits.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny you mentioned the Who, because I really love a lot of that classic stuff from the Who, and you're right. I mean, Pete Townsend was just a phenomenal songwriter and arranger, and some of that stuff that he did was just genius.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing because, you know, the Who really just, Roger and Pete these days, the other two guys have passed on, and they've got, like, session musicians playing in there. But the thing is, you know, Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey kind of are the core of that band, and I've heard where even Roger Daltrey said, you know, Pete wrote all those great songs, but, you know, he wrote them for my voice. I kind of, you know, I feel blessed that I was able to sing his songs. And it's kind of an interesting thing. Like I said, one guy is kind of the, you know, even though Roger Daltrey's a voice, Pete Townsend wrote all those great songs. He's the guy that, you know, created that great sound. It's just amazing. And, you know, 40, 50 years later, those songs are still being played on the radio. That's the thing about being a gifted songwriter. You know, you write these songs based on experiences, things you've lived through. You know, that's why a lot of the great songs, even like a guy like Rod Stewart, you listen to his music a lot, especially a lot of stuff from the 70s. It's great storytelling. See, those are the songs I love the most, when you can listen to a song and you can really get something out of it. Oh, this is what they're talking about, as opposed to just, you know, like you said, just playing 100 miles a minute just for it to show that what a great shredder you are. You know.
When you say use the word storytelling, I like that. The other thing is, I like it when you can understand what the singer's saying.
Yeah.
It's telling, you know. And some of the metal styles today, although I enjoy some of them, they don't lend well to understanding what you're saying. So I guess, you know, I come from that background of like getting drawn into a song and really cool lyrics, and you know, I like the storytelling aspect of the song. So that's also something I aspire to do when I'm writing. Tell a story.
And see, that's why people want to check out a band like WildStarr, because you guys are not trying to, you know, you're not trying to follow the trends. You're just kind of going in there and being yourself. This is who you are. You know, take it or leave it. And we're not trying to be like every other band out there. So,
you know, the first two albums, I felt, you know, like the swings and arrows a little bit more. You know, the first two albums. By the time the second album, I was like, screw it, I don't care. I'm just making the music that I like, and I don't really care if somebody thinks it's lame or wants to call us a dinosaur. They don't get it, and I'm not going to worry about it. Well, the funny thing is, now that I'm not worried about it, it almost seems like that's turned around for us, which is, you know, ironic. But yeah, we just stuck to our guns and just, you know, it seems like it paid off.
Yes, it seems like it. Now, let me ask you guys, you mentioned you have a recording studio in your house, I guess, which is where you recorded the album. Did you record kind of old school way where you guys were actually in the studio together? Everybody's, you know, the whole band's in there, whatever, you kind of recording as a live band, or did everybody kind of record separately?
No, everyone's kind of separately, but we mix together and we record. Like, I record Dave, and
he records
sometimes Josh, Dave, and we're all there together, and we talk about, hey, you know, what if we did this here or that there? So there's definitely interaction and feedback, and especially in the mixing phase, everybody has, you know, their input on, or, you know, like, you know, Josh and I do most of the mixing. Josh does a lot of the guitar production, and then we kind of do the final mix, and Josh does the mastering. But we all, like, Dave will say, hey, I'll send you, what do you think? Is the bass too loud? Or, you know, like, we all have
input.
So
that's great.
Definitely.
And as far as recording and songwriting, like when you recorded the latest album, did you already have everything written prior to going to the studio, or do you just like jam a lot of the songs out as you're recording them?
So Dave has everything written, and then, you know, we record a scratch version, and then I actually write and record at the same time, and I know that sounds really weird, but I don't like to just write like poetry or something on a piece of paper. I think that's very non-conducive to music.
Wow.
And so what I like to be alone because I want to get in the zone.
Get in the mood,
and I play the music and I just sing things that come out of my head, and then I ad-lib the vowels, the words, everything, and then sometimes I keep real words that come out of my mouth, or I try and match the sound, because actually the sound of the words is more important than the words themselves.
Oh, wow, that's interesting, because a lot of the vocalists, they do it the other way, like you said. Oh, they write everything on a piece of paper and go in there and sing it word for word.
No,
but that's why I think this sounds so original.
What I do is sometimes I know what the song's going to be about, and I kind of brainstorm phrases, and I'll type them out on a piece of paper, and I'll just spread them out around me, and if I happen to glance down at a word or a phrase that I end up saying, great. If I end up not saying any of them, fine.
Wow. I'm really impressed. That would explain the reason, like I said, why especially the vocals sound so very different, because you have to really be thinking on the spot like that, and that makes, I think, for more of an interesting song than just having it all pre-prepared. So wow, I really tip my hat to you there, London. You got to be very talented to come up with lyrics like that. Wow, right off the top of your head.
Well, no, not exactly. Like, some of them come right off the top of my head, but a lot of times it's just vowel sounds, and then I go back over it and think of words that fit, that go with the song. But my first strike is to organically improvise the song. That's the first step.
Well, again, I just got to say, very, very impressed there, because it's a little out of the ordinary box, but I think that's why this band has such an original sound, because it really is, like you said, it sounds like you're doing a lot of it off getting into the mood, the zone, as you say, what really inspired you. So again, I just think that's totally amazing, because that's a very hard thing to do now. I was curious now, do you guys have an outside producer you work with, or do you produce everything?
We produce everything. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, we just do everything ourselves.
Well,
I think if we didn't know what we were doing,
you might need a producer, but you've been doing it long enough.
I think a producer would be helpful, but because when I worked with producers in the past, they would come up with ideas like, I think you should try this.
Yeah.
It's good. Sometimes it's good to have that input, but I don't really think that we have needed any
input
outside input, and I think the proof shows that we're right.
Because I have a recording background, I feel like I'm the best producer for the band, because I know the genre. It's like, who's better than me to kind of direct it, and then
makes sense to me, because if you have an outside producer, they're going to come in and like maybe totally change the sound of the band and say, this is what I want you to do, and you're like, that's not us, that's not what we sound like, and so
sometimes,
go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
Sometimes having an outside producer can be a good thing.
Yeah.
I think some albums you listen to. I'm a big Kiss fan, and when Kiss did the Destroyer album,
I was just going to say Bob Ezrin. Man, I mean, you hear his influence all throughout that.
I think he made a big deal. I think he made a big contribution to the sound and the success of that album. If you listen to the first three Kiss albums, were very dry and very stiff.
Yeah.
And then they went in and made this really amazing, polished album, which, still sounds awesome 41 years later. So sometimes a producer can really be a good thing.
Oh yeah, and interesting thing, you bring up like Destroyer. Interesting thing about that is not only did Ezrin produce on that, he was listed. You know, he's a keyboard player. He played some of instruments and sound effects. He's listed as a songwriter on every single track on there, and he did all those great Alice Cooper albums. So you can really hear his influence, but it's a great influence because, like you said, those as great as those first 3 Kiss albums are, there was a thing going on at the time where the records weren't really selling. People thought there's something going on live, and that's why they put out the Kiss Alive. And they're like, okay, when we go in there and do the next album, it's got to be really something special. I got to say, they really delivered the goods, there.
Yeah, that album kind of has a very special. It kind of like the Ted Templeman with the first Van Halen album that still sounds amazing 40 years later.
Yeah.
And same thing with that with Kiss Destroyer. So I'm not against outside producers.
Yeah.
We just
you don't need it.
Yeah. 3 albums and it's worked.
Yeah, and also getting back to Kiss for a minute, the other interesting thing about Kiss is like 20 years after they'd done the Destroy album, they got back together with Ezra and put out that great Revenge album. And if you were to put Destroyer and Revenge, back to back, it almost sounds like Destroyer Part 2 20 years later.
Some of it, yeah.
Yeah, like for example, like God Gave Rock and Roll to you, that has kind of a 70s Kiss sound to me, but
yeah.
So Bob Ezrin, I think he's the exception to the rule. Now, getting back to WildStarr, I was curious: is this just a studio project, or do you guys plan to take this on the road?
Well, that's what everybody asks us, but the truth is that we have never toured as WildStarr. It kind of, the way things went in the beginning, where we had such a difficult time finding people on the same page who wanted to believe in the vision that we had, and it finally got to the point where I said, screw this, I'm going to play all the guitars and bass myself.
Yeah.
And we tried to get a live lineup together, and we had a lot of trouble with that. I know Dave invested a lot of his time with a couple of different guitarists that just gave up. Maybe they couldn't play the material. We invested time in people that just ended up flaking out, and I told Dave, instead of investing this time and getting a live lineup, we could be making new music, and I'd rather just do that if it's not working out, and let's just focus on making a new record instead of spinning our wheels trying to get.
So it wasn't. Yeah. So it wasn't. This wasn't our vision when we first started it out.
Yeah.
Being a studio, but it just kind of morphed into that rather rapidly. Because we got so tired of dealing. We even tried Jeff Thorpe from Vicious Rumors, and I couldn't even get him on the same page on one song.
Wow.
And I just said, you know what? All I really care about at this stage of my life and career is just making great music, and if it is strictly in the studio, then that's fine.
Okay, now do you miss getting the opportunity to go out there and play live at all, Dave? Obviously, you said it's very hard to do with this project, but is there any chance that you'd ever go out and do like you said, you feel like this is a solo project, but like a David K. Starr solo album or something, just to get out there and do maybe a couple club shows, or any chance like London might do something like that on her own?
I don't know. I really don't know. I do. There are certain things that I miss touring. I miss I did around 400 or 500 shows with VR around the world.
Yeah.
And in the 10 years I was in the band, so it leaves a definite impact on you. And there were a lot of things that were great, and I do miss certain aspects of that. But especially since I've been clean and sober for about 12 and a half years now, I just really don't want to be around the BS and the crap that I remember. It makes me ill when I think of some of the stuff that went on, and I just don't want to be around the negative stuff anymore. And whenever I think of touring, I just think of tour buses full of pot smoke and booze all over the place. It just makes me want to vomit, and I just don't. I don't have the stomach for it anymore.
And I'd imagine being on the road makes it that much harder to stay sober, because you're out there on the road and other people are drinking and doing whatever around you, and it makes it that much harder. They're putting the temptation kind of in your face.
Well, the thing that was great about touring was the hour and a half on stage.
Yeah, okay.
The problem is you got 23 hours the rest of the day that you got to deal with mentally, and that can lead to a lot of mischief and a lot of trouble and a lot of destructive behavior. Yeah. And I've kind of circled the wagons and said, you know what, I just don't want to go down that road again.
Wow.
And does that mean we'll never play live or tour? No, who knows? Maybe we will. But right now, London and I
are happy doing this.
We live out here near Houston, and we have a really beautiful home with our own forest. And
were you guys
we have 6 dogs.
Were you guys affected by the recent hurricanes?
Yeah, we had some problems. But our make a long story short, our home is okay, but it's just that we've, our London's mother's here. We've kind of got a fortress here with a moat around it.
Wow.
And we're very protective of our privacy and what we have going on, and that's just the way I think our mindset is right now in 2017.
Well, at least you guys made it through that and didn't get too seriously hurt, and like you said, at least your house is still standing. Thank God for that. But it's really been a great pleasure talking to you guys. Now, you kind of touched on this a little bit, but I imagine, like you were saying, if you, down the line you were to get that call and the guys were to say, hey, we were thinking about getting Vicious Rumors together, just like going on one more tour, like one more time. Is that something that would interest you at all, or do you kind of think, okay, we had our opportunity, it's time for that to kind of just be put to bed, or what are your real feelings as far as that goes?
Well, my feelings are very mixed. There's a lot of ugly things that have happened with that band.
I hear you. I hear you. We'll just kind of leave it at that. Yeah.
It's just that several things would prevent that from happening. Carl is gone. And without Carl, there's no VR.
I see. Okay. That makes sense.
And Mark has no interest in playing heavy metal anymore. He plays in a pop band called Love Planet with his wife, and he loves doing what he's doing, playing this kind of folky pop music. So he has no interest in doing the kind of music that VR was famous for. So that would leave it down to Mark, or to Jeff, Larry, and myself. And I tried that on the Warballs CD when we got Jim Rivera and Brad Gillis, and I just felt like, you know what, this is
not working.
I tried to go back in time and to right a bunch of wrongs, and then I looked around and I saw no Mark and no Carl, and I thought this is not what we used to be.
Yeah, a lot of times it's just best to kind of let things kind of lie, and if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If not, maybe you guys, maybe your best days are behind you. But as far as Vicious Rumors, but you got the great WildStarr project, and like you said, the other guys are happy doing what they're doing. So that's a positive thing.
It's not like I'm sitting around doing
waiting.
Nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I wish that everybody was still. I wish Carl was still here.
Yeah.
I on him every day.
Yeah, well, that's all anybody can really do. But now, like we said, the album.
A lot of great memories from that band. But I think it's probably best just to let things go and let the fans remember the band as it was. And I'm proud of everything that I did in that band, and we made some great music. But I honestly feel like my best days
are ahead of you.
Are my best days. What I'm doing with London now.
Well, that's great. That's great. You guys.
I'm thrilled. And there's a lot of people who are my age who say that. Like I told you earlier, I think a lot of people are kind of coasting in their later years.
Yeah.
and living off past glories. Well, I'm not, because I'm not out playing VR songs. I don't want to go out and play VR songs without Carl and Mark, and I love what I'm doing now.
Makes sense. Makes perfect sense to me. Now, the album is called Beyond the Rain, and it drops December 8th, from what I understand. Now, will people be able to get the album like actual physical copies? It's just being released digitally. Talk a little bit about that.
It's on physical CD and digital. Let's see. There's all the usual outlets of Amazon, eBay.
Okay.
It's funny because I Google WildStarr every day to see because the reviews are coming in and what's going on, and it's showing up on Target.
Wow,
Yeah.
That is amazing. I tell you, if you can get a decent hard rock metal CD at Target, that's great.
Yeah. Our label is in Italy, but they have worldwide distribution.
Yeah.
So they have a pretty good distribution channel in the U.S.
And Chip's help. We hired Chip full time for this album.
I tell you, you guys got a great PR guy in Chip, because I'll just to give you an idea, you guys got the same PR guy as Michael Schenker, so you guys are in real good company.
Well, he worked for us a little bit on the first album, kind of part time.
Yeah.
And then we just made the decision that, you know what, we need the big guns on this record, and I called Chip and I said, hey, let's do this. So
and he actually said that because he's got a lot of clientele, they're bigger names than us, and he said, well, let me listen. You have a song I can listen to, and so we, one of the new songs. So we gave him a new song, and he said, "Yep, I'm in." He said, "This is the best stuff you guys have done yet."
Yeah. He loved us. He's loved us ever since my friend Michael Fisher, who somehow knew Chip, hooked us up with Chip.
Yeah, I think because he worked at KNAC or something.
KNAC in LA.
Wow.
And so they found out about us, and
he's a great guy to have on your team, because, like I said, let me just put you guys besides Michael Schenker, he's also a PR guy for Judas Priest. Funny you should say that. Saxon, Jackal. So he's worked with Tony Iommi in the past, Quiet Riot. So you guys he's a great guy to have on your team. That's why a lot of the bands he worked with, they've all got a strong internet presence. Even like you're saying, WildStarr, you go on the internet every day. Ever since they sent me your press release, I've been seeing stuff about your band, all over Facebook and everywhere on the internet. So you guys are starting to get a real strong internet presence. That's got to be a great feeling,
Yeah, it's cool.
Oh yeah, and Dave and I were talking about our first album, which was self-released. Dave and I actually pounded the pavement ourselves and went to record stores and got humiliated.
That's the old school way, but I love that, because a lot of kids these days, they don't even know what a record store is. A record, what's that? That's a thing. I was asking how you're going to release it, because a lot of kids, they don't want the whole. I'll just get the single. I can buy each track for 99 cents. I don't need to buy the whole album, and I hate that. I love to have a CD to hold in my hand, and this is who wrote the song, and I love artwork.
I'll tell you a funny story about because when we talk about literally starting over. I mean, I went from being signed to Atlantic Records, Vicious Rumors, to when fast forward to WildStarr in London. I actually going to independent record stores in Berkeley, California.
Wow.
And talk to the music buyer saying, "Hi, I'm Dave. We're Dave in London from WildStarr. Would you be interested in stocking at least a few of our CDs here in your finest establishment?"
Yeah. You know what? I mean, we pounded the pavement, and it did pay off, because we did establish a following with the first record.
Yeah.
And it did chart number 6 for Japanese imports. It was all because of, Dave did a lot of you know, we did a lot of the work ourselves.
Yeah.
So, you know, to have it be fast forward to this record, and it's just really humbling to think of where it started, and
Yeah.
you know, it has built up, and it's just a real feeling because we have put a lot of hard work and blood, sweat, and tears into this. You know,
It's pretty amazing when you think of this is our third album.
Yeah, and what a huge accomplishment when you know 3 albums into this, because for a simple fact, like you guys are saying, you put out 3 great albums, and you haven't even done any, you know, not even one live show. It's all based off the music on those 3 albums. You know, that's amazing.
I know, right? Like how, like,
You know, and we kind of make that work to our advantage.
Yeah.
We have to. But it makes us kind of, there's a mystique there. Like, well, they never play live. They never tour.
Yeah.
Oh, Dave, if we booked a show, it'd probably be like a line around the corner because everybody's wondering what we're like live. I mean, I know they are because, you know, people are really curious about us.
Yeah, no, one idea popped in my head. You guys should maybe consider, like, you mentioned the studio is in your home. Maybe you could do like a special one-off show or something, like, you know, live in the studios.
A couple of friends. What is that? Live from Daryl's house?
Something like that, yeah. Live from Dave in London or something, you know.
That's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, and before I let you guys go, because you know, Dave, like I said, a lot of people know you from Vicious Rumors, but it's also got to be a great feeling when somebody you know wants you to autograph their album or something, like a WildStarr CD, and they're like, they have no idea, never heard of what you did with Vicious Rumors, and they're you know a fan of yours just based on the WildStarr stuff. That's got to be an equally great feeling, you know.
Yeah, it's most of I think probably the majority of the fans are also VR fans from the classic days, but there are still people who don't know what I did in the past or weren't really aware of it.
Yeah.
That's, you know, that's fine.
No, and the reason I bring that up is, like, I'll give you a perfect example. Like, I'm a huge Deep Purple fan, but like until Whitesnake became like huge in '87, I had no idea that was the singer on the Deep Purple album Burn, you know? And then it was after I became a Whitesnake fan, I went, oh, wait, oh, he was in Deep Purple too. And then I kind of became a fan of what he did with Deep Purple previously. So sometimes it works, you know, in your favor. People check out what you're doing now, and they're like, oh, okay, oh, he had this other band, let's go check that out.
It's crazy as I get older, you know, those records, let's see, Soldiers of the Night came out 31 years ago.
Yeah, can you believe that?
Digital Dictator's almost 30 years old, and those records are still selling. They're still in print. It's crazy. You know, when we were making those records all those years ago, and then the 3 that we did with Atlantic, you know, we never thought, like, God, 20, 30 years from now, people are going to give a shit about anything, or whether the planet's going to have blown up, you know.
And that's how you know those records have stood the test of time, because 30 years later, you know, people are still listening to them.
Yeah, we were just living for the day and trying to just struggle and survive, you know, to feed ourselves for another day. And here we go 30 years later, and this stuff's still around, and Pete's still making, you know, hopefully 30 years from now, people will still be listening to WildStarr too.
Yeah, and you know, and the great thing about that, you know, too, Dave, is the fact that, I mean, there are a lot of albums that I had that, you know, got broke or whatever, and I can't even replace now, because a lot of the great albums that I used to have are out of print. So the fact that none of your albums are out of print, that still says something about that. Okay, they continue to print them because people are continuing to buy them, because there are a lot of the great music, like even from the '80s, that is out of print, and the only way you're going to get it is you like get an import or something.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
it's been a long, strange journey.
Well, I really enjoyed talking to you guys. I know it's getting late where you are, so we are going to wrap this up. I want to thank you so much, and I really encourage people to get the album on December 8th when it comes out. It'll be worth checking out. And also in regards to the previous 2 WildStarr albums, those are still in print. People can buy those as well.
Yeah, actually, you can buy those from our website for sure. I'm sure you can get them other places too, but
that'd be the place to go. Okay. Well,
at WildStarr.com, and I'm sure they're available other places, but I haven't looked lately.
Order stuff from us and you get it signed for no extra charge.
Okay, great. And we'll definitely check that out. And I want to thank both Dave and London for talking to us today. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys. I'll let Chip know when the interview gets posted. I'm not exactly sure yet, but once I've had a check to listen to the full album, I'd like to maybe do this again, maybe in a couple months, and we could specifically talk about the album and, some of the songs on there once I've had a chance to hear the whole thing. So, I hope you guys keep my contact info. Just you always get hold of me through Chip. But thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, Jason. Thank you very much, Jason. We appreciate it greatly.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.